Blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Phone number is 580-5436. KIDO, hope that you had a happy and blessed Memorial Day. And just coming off Miller's Mission, I want to thank everybody associated with that. So many folks came out. Today we will be at Cap Ed on Overland and Meridian. If you're in the area, please stop by and say hello. We'll be counting pennies. Do want to thank our friends at Cap Ed. Speaking of Cap Ed, a special edition of Promote Our School, Secure Our Future tomorrow morning, where we will have, we're going to have homeschoolers in, and we're looking forward to hearing what they have to say as well. Don't forget Kevin Miller's cash code. We'll give you the code word in 2 seconds. First, David Ray joins us from FAIR, Federation for American Immigration Reform, the pride of the Buckeye State. Good morning, sir.
Hey, Kevin. How you doing, buddy?
Not bad. Just living the dream, and you?
You and I must have the exact same life because I'm doing the same thing right here in the heart of the swamp. Loving it. Just had a nice big downpour. It's supposed to get up to 91 today, so it'll be nice and steamy. And, anything's possible in Washington when it's hot and steamy out.
I would say let's talk about your time at the border. What was your big takeaway?
Well, it was honestly worse than I had expected. The morning that we did a lot of live radio shows following the border tour. And that very morning, while I was on the air, right in downtown El Paso, as the sun was rising, a manhole cover popped up in the middle of the busiest intersection in downtown El Paso, and 110 illegal aliens come pouring out into the street. And that really kind of encapsulates life at the border right now. The Border Patrol is absolutely overwhelmed. They keep saying that, but the Democrats keep ignoring them. And unfortunately, I don't know if we're at a political impasse. Senator Graham introduced a bill that would put an end to all of these asylum loopholes, which is really asylum is the rocket fuel behind the current border crisis. This is all asylum scam and asylum fraud. But I don't know if that bill is going to be able to go anywhere. But, life at the border is, places where we have the wall, like in downtown El Paso, they have regained control mostly of the flow, but in the open areas where the wall still hasn't been built, it's kind of the wild, wild west there.
Well, let's figure this out. So when we had the Republicans, we couldn't build a wall. Now we've got the Democrats going back and forth on this. It all seems to be tied to the DACA situation.
Well, yeah, I mean, DACA, the Republicans have no excuse for not passing something the first 2 years of the Trump administration. Now, they didn't have the votes to get it through the Senate, but we could have had a fix to this asylum process problem in the first 2 years of when the Republicans had the House. I would lay that at the feet of Paul Ryan. I am convinced Paul Ryan never did buy into President Trump's vision of immigration. He was always a Wall Street Republican. So now, we have the Lindsey Graham's proposal, and, that probably is going to be that we call it the skinny bill because it just addresses asylum. It's not comprehensive immigration reform. But the problem with that bill is that Senator Graham has already indicated and has repeatedly indicated that he's open to amnesty proposals. It could be DACA, could be the DREAM Act, whatever the Democrats price. And then it becomes a little bit scary because how big of an amnesty do we have to stomach in order to get asylum reform? We shouldn't have to have an amnesty at all. And certainly FAIR will oppose that. But I can't imagine the Democrats not trying to get something like that through.
David Ray joining us from the Federation for American Immigration Reform. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. 107.5 FM, 580 AM. How concerned should we be about the federal government's plan to ship the illegals all over the country?
Well, they've kind of squashed that. And so they were floating an idea. First of all, President Trump said let's send them to sanctuary cities, which would be kind of poetic justice. And they squashed that, and then they started talking about sending them all over the country, and your governors sounded off. What was interesting is that when sanctuary cities are municipalities and states like California or Oregon who have declared, we're a safe haven for illegal aliens. And then when President Trump suggests sending illegal aliens to sanctuary cities, you had the governors of those states screaming bloody murder. I think it was Cory Booker who said, President Trump is trying to make our cities less safe. It's like, there's a correlation between illegal immigration and public safety. I don't think I've ever heard a Democratic presidential candidate admit that before. That's an interesting statement. So what it looks like we're going to do now is the detain in Mexico policy is starting up. So in the next couple months, we are going to be trying to hold some of these folks in Mexico. The Mexican government has agreed to that, and that'll allow us to get their hearings through the process and while they remain in Mexico, and then send them back home, because about 90% of them will be denied. But then they're also trying to quickly put up detention facilities along the border to hold people there. Catch and release is really on hyperdrive. There's been, they're expecting another month of over 100,000 apprehensions. Most of those people have been released into the interior of the country. The scariest thing about that is that we know absolutely nothing about any of these folks. And so I don't think there's going to be people being sent throughout the country, but hopefully we will get the detention facilities up as quickly as possible and get what we call mobile asylum courts, where they have the judge and the courts that actually go to these detention facilities, take these people through their hearings, give them their grant them political asylum and allow them into the United States with their work documents and whatever public assistance they qualify for, or in most cases send them home, because very few of these people are actually legitimate, real political asylees.
David Ray joining us, Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Final thought, going back to the 100 or so illegals that were coming up through the manholes the manhole cover in El Paso, did anybody stop them? Is this normal? Or?
Well, it was actually a news story while I was on the radio, so I wasn't able to really follow it. What I think happened is that the Border Patrol was alerted, they were apprehended, and then they were probably within 2 days put on a Greyhound bus at the terminal in downtown El Paso and sent on to Boise or Cleveland or St. Louis or wherever else it is that they have family members who are usually illegal aliens themselves to take them in.
Well, you're just full of good news.
Yes, sorry. I mean, yesterday was a holiday, so it's Tuesday. It's not like you could say I'm starting your Monday off on the wrong foot. There are some good things to talk about, and that's what we'll focus on next time you and I chat. How about that?
Dave Ray, we always appreciate you, brother. You have a good one.
You take care, Kevin. Go Bucks.
Go Bucks. All right. There we have it. Dave Ray joining us. Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio. Kevin Miller, cash code word is cash. That's right. CASH, cash. The Kevin Miller cash code word is cash. Remember, listen at 6 a.m., 8 a.m., and 3 p.m. during the Sean Hannity Great American Show for your chance to win up to $5,000. I'd be remiss if I didn't share a little bit about our thoughts of, losing a great man, and that is Bill Buckner. Bill Buckner, what can you say about Bill Buckner? Now you have a lot of people talking about his expertise in baseball and what happened in 1986 and everything else, but those people that knew Bill Buckner and know Jody really understand what a great part of the Boise community, what a great part of the Treasure Valley community they've become. I can remember meeting Jody Buckner in 2010 when I was living at the Boise Rescue Mission for the first Miller's Mission. And she and Bill have such a heart for charity and charitable giving and working with Jason Billister of the Boise Rescue Mission. And then when we started unveiling and unwrapping the turkey, the Buckners were so gracious to allow us in their home to film a spot where you have Bill Buckner, this iconic sports figure, his beautiful wife Jody in their home, and a guy who's constantly sweaty in a turkey outfit, but it was for a great cause, the Boise Rescue Mission that the Buckners gave to and continue to support to this day. And as everybody, will say about, will talk about and share their thoughts about Mr. Buckner being a sports icon, you could usually catch him as recently as, about a year ago at the Axiom at Park Center. He and Jody working out there, and I go, boy, who's this guy killing it? And it would be Bill Buckner with his headsets on, chewing gum, doing laps around people, in the circuit, if you will, lifting weights that were probably 30 or 40 years his junior. The guy was in incredible shape. And our thoughts and prayers go out to the Buckner family. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the Boise Rescue Mission family that the Buckners have shared so much time with and have given so much. As wonderful as his accomplishments were in Boston and everything else. And I heard somebody say, well, he moved to Idaho. Yes, Idaho is a place that welcomes people, that loves people. Of course, now with the traffic, it's a little more crazier, but really Bill Buckner was an example of what you can do here in the state of Idaho. Owned a car dealership, I guess, in Emmett, but quietly went about doing the good works. And you're never going to make the headlines doing good works. You're never going to be on the cover of Time magazine for donating clothes or donating pennies, but you certainly make a bigger difference. So, again, our thoughts and prayers go out to the Buckner family and to his extended family in the Boise Rescue Mission, the Boise charitable community that they have given so much to. Coming up, Kevin Miller in the morning here, we've got thousands of kindergartners unvaccinated without waivers. Is this a good thing? And by the way, the country is involved in a measles outbreaks, but not the gem state. What are we doing right? Or is it just a matter of time? Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Wishing you all the best. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Thank you, Sean Hannity. By the way, what's the latest concerning the Supreme Court? We'll get to that in a minute. Phone number is 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Then this issue involving, vaccinations and whether or not you believe that vaccinations are the right move for your children. But first, here's our own Todd Pirro with the very latest on what the Supreme Court will and won't decide on KIDO Talk Radio.
Here are three areas we are following particularly closely. First, the separation of church and state in the Cross case, a World War I memorial cross on public land, with the American Legion arguing it honors our war dead in a style similar to European graveyards. Next, whether the 2020 census can ask about a person's citizenship. The Trump administration wants the question added to help the Department of Justice enforce the Voting Rights Act, arguing it will help prohibit discriminatory voting practices. But critics say there could be an undercount of 6.5 million people if the question is included, because non-citizens will be hesitant to answer.
There we have it, KIDO Talk Radio. The simple answer is yes, crosses should be allowed. Yes, crosses should be allowed. Can you imagine that? Crazy, the world we're living in today. And when we're talking about the census question, yes. What type of world, what type of country would we be where we would be embarrassed to ask people whether or not they're citizens? I'm sorry, are you a citizen? Well, I don't really feel comfortable answering that. I wish that I could go back as a kid, and when my parents would ask me something, I really don't feel comfortable answering your question whether or not I did my homework. Or my first boss, I'm really uncomfortable with the workload that you're giving me. I'm feeling victimized. I mean, it really is rather ridiculous, is it not? Those are just some of the national stories we're taking a look at. And then we have this story that continues to resonate across the country. We'd love to get your thoughts on it at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. And it's going on throughout the states. In fact, at Miller's Mission, by the way, today we'll be counting pennies thanks to our friends at CapEd Credit Union. We'll be at Overland and Meridian hauling in the pennies. I do want to thank Mrs. Miller's business, Hope Blooms Flowers and Things, for allowing me to use her cargo van to haul the pennies. And we'll be there about 2:30 and counting and counting and counting all of your generous donations. And really, folks, thank you for making a difference. We cannot thank you enough for stopping by and the thousands, perhaps millions of pennies that we've collected, you've truly made a difference in helping kids and veterans and families at the Boise Rescue Mission. Thank you, and may God bless you. So one of the conversations we were having at Miller's Mission involving vaccinations and whether or not people should get their kids vaccinated. In fact, they're saying the anti-vax movement for pets is a death sentence, according to some veterinarians. States are heating up the debate whether to make it more difficult for students to avoid vaccinations for religious or philosophical reasons. Remember, we talked about this in Oregon recently, amid the worst measles outbreak in modern history. Now, we have to understand, why are we having the measles outbreak? Is it because of there are more people wanting exemptions to vaccines? Is it because we're bringing people into the country and letting them run wild and free without getting them vaccinated? There's something wrong with the vaccines? Maybe you heard Lars Larson recently take issue with people that negatively criticize the vaccine industry. Now you've got the Center for Disease Control and Prevention showed that a majority of unvaccinated or undervaccinated kindergartners in 10 of 27 states reporting were allowed to enroll in schools provisionally without any formal exemption. Now, here's the question. At 580-5436, 580-KIDO, if you are sending your kid to a school, and I know school is out, and you're thinking, what am I going to do with these kids for the entire summer? How secure do you feel if these kids next to your kids are not vaccinated? So if you get the vaccine, I don't think it makes a deal if the kids aren't vaccinated. If they get sick, so be it, right? I had a young lady come up to me and get the measles or the mumps or something like that recently. Adults getting this stuff. Now, when we start questioning the vaccination procedure, and really this has been going on in the Idaho State House as well, whether or not to vaccinate or not vaccinate, I've always thought that you didn't have a choice, that you had to get your kids vaccinated. And that's the way it is. If you want your kid in school, then they have to be vaccinated. But then you have others saying, no, not so fast, my friend. More on that in a minute. Traffic and weather together. Our time is 6:26. You're listening to Kevin Miller in the Morning. KIDO Talk Radio. Let's get you to work safely and on time. Good morning, Dave. And I'm Kevin Miller in the Morning here, remembering Memorial Day. By the way, we'd love to get your thoughts on vaccinations and whether or not you believe that that should be mandated by the state. For me personally, I think it's up to every parent, and every parent makes that decision. And remember, we have people that have been targeted. And I believe there was a documentary on it, I haven't seen it yet, that had Kenyon County Sheriff Kieran Donahue in it, where you have people that are faith healers. And we've had people that have gotten very sick, and the state jumps in and says, I'm sorry, if you're not going to treat your kid, then we're going to take over. So it comes down to vaccinate, not to vaccinate, to use medicine, not to use medicine. Is that the purview of the parent and the individual, or does the state have the right to say, I'm sorry, for the sake of public health and safety, boom, we're going to do this. And whether you like it or not, you're going to get the shot. That's one issue. Number two, Memorial Day. Many of you, I think, got on the roads, and maybe you went to breakfast. The breakfast places were full yesterday. Maybe you went to the Idaho State Veterans Cemetery up there on the hill. If you're new to the area, it is a remarkable way to spend Memorial Day. Our friend Congressman Fulcher giving the speech up there, and having had the privilege of being up there a few times and seeing the service and seeing how Idaho honors the men and women that have paid the ultimate sacrifice, it's a little different than other places. It's refreshing. And this state honors veterans, honors those who have paid the ultimate price. So if you had a chance to go up there and see the great sights, God bless you. And if you did what we urged, to pray for the people that are no longer here, thank you. You know, the power of prayer is so underrated in the secular media, right? And sometimes people are afraid to say, I believe in God, I believe in prayer, I believe in helping others. But not in Idaho. Here is your Miller Memorial Day morning montage.
Attention! This is the day that makes possible all other American days.
You defend our freedom, our families, and you defend our great American flag.
The debt our nation owes to those who rest here among these hallowed fields and in cemeteries, churchyards, and humble plots across the wider world is a debt we can never fully repay. Americans gather to honor the lives and deeds of America's greatest heroes and to assure their families that we will never forget and we will never fail to honor the service and sacrifice of their loved ones.
Our freedom is earned through the blood and sweat and toil and sacrifice of great American patriots just like you. As we honor America's fallen warriors, we pledge our unwavering devotion to all of those who serve our nation in uniform.
Memorial Day 2019. You're listening to Kevin Miller in the Morning on KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Good morning, Maggie. Rolling out to Washington, D.C., KIDO Talk Radio exclusively, your home in the Treasure Valley of Fox News Radio on 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Rachel Sutherland joining us. Rachel, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Kevin.
So the president had a whirlwind tour of Japan. He returns home. What, if any, did he accomplish?
Well, he definitely spent a lot of time with the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, and they held a joint news conference. They discussed a wide range of issues, North Korea, Iran, and also trade. The president says he hopes to have a trade deal with Japan sometime in August, also discussing trade with China. So a lot of big issues, although they did take some time out for downtime. There was a round of golf, I believe, and some sumo wrestling that they took in.
I'm with you. I saw that picture of the president handing the trophy to the sumo guy.
Yeah.
He certainly does know how to create the buzz.
Absolutely. So, but on more serious topics, when it comes to North Korea, the president made headlines when he said he wasn't overly concerned about recent missile testing. But the Prime Minister Abe said that he did believe that North Korea violated UN Security Council resolutions, as does National Security Advisor John Bolton, but the president kind of downplaying recent activity by North Korea. When it comes to Iran, also discussions there about its nuclear program, and interestingly, the prime minister offering to act as kind of a go-between between the United States and Iran, but I don't think Iran is having that yet. They want some of these sanctions lifted. And also the sanctions may have to do with trade deals with China and Japan, because recently the Trump administration got rid of waivers for certain countries, including Japan and China, when it comes to importing oil from Iran. So those issues could be complicating the trade deals.
Well, and let's face it, another complication is this situation that you brought up involving the North Koreans launching these missiles. Everybody in the room except the president says that Kim Jong-un didn't violate the treaty. He says Kim is just looking for attention.
Yeah, that was part of what the president was thinking, is that that the North Korean regime is just popping a couple off just to get attention. And he did call Kim Jong-un a very smart man. Another thing, we can't deny the fact that the president also made headlines when he said that he agreed with Leader Kim that former Vice President Joe Biden has a low IQ. So generally, presidents don't criticize Americans on foreign soil. So in this case, the president doing his own thing, though, and taking some heat for that.
Rachel, here's the one question you can always get from Kevin Miller and probably all your other people that you speak with. Is Congress going to be doing anything? We talked about this last week where, we're getting into the days of summer. There's the summer recess, this, that, and the other, to impeach, to not to impeach. And then we've got this continuing resolution deadline, I believe in September or October.
Right, exactly. Well, Congress is on recess all week, so don't expect much from them on that point. Now, you're right about the budget talks, and it may seem like it's kind of far down the road, but it will matter, especially in the climate that we find ourselves here in Washington, highly partisan and even hostile. So there's been some discussion about what if Democrats attached some kind of a rider to a spending bill that had to do with the Mueller report and seeing the underlying documents. It's a possibility. It may be an outside possibility, but we just got through the longest government shutdown in history with this fight over immigration. I don't know if Democrats are going to begin in any kind of negotiating mood with the president. Of course, you remember last week with this failed infrastructure meeting, they weren't even able to come to any kind of agreement on that. And the president said he's not going to be working with Democrats until they stop their investigations. I don't know if that includes on the budget. So everybody just kind of needs to hang on and see what happens there.
Well, that's why we have you.
We'll be keeping an eye out for it. But, yeah, this week, Congress on recess. We're also looking for opinions from the U.S. Supreme Court. Could be some handed down today having to do with the citizenship question on the 2020 census, and also the Cross case out of Maryland, where there's this memorial to soldiers in the form of a cross. A bunch of atheists want to get rid of it. The Supreme Court will decide whether or not it can stay.
Rachel, we appreciate you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks, Kevin.
Rachel Sutherland, Fox News Radio, only on KIDO Talk Radio, where we take you to the White House, to Capitol Hill, all over the country, all over the world. That is our commitment to you. And speaking of commitment, I want to thank everyone who contributed to Miller's Mission. You can still contribute, boiserm.org. Want to thank Idaho Heating and Air. They've got a great deal going on right now. You can nominate a veteran to win a free air conditioner. That's right, a free air conditioner. Go to KIDOTalkRadio.com. And our newest sponsor to Miller's Mission. And yeah, before we get rolling again, I just have to, I just want to share with you my heartfelt thanks for you coming out. It's such a blessing. If you didn't get a chance to do it, we understand. If you listen to the show, we really, really appreciate it. Just being there and physically hauling all the pennies. You know, I've got a big surplus to begin with. It wasn't that wasn't that easy. And for those of you that went and got all your pennies, said, Kevin, I've had this in my house for years. How many of us have had just a penny collection for years and years? You've made a difference, and we're going to count those today. We'll let you know the grand total, but thank you. Thank you for your passion. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for caring. You've made a difference, indeed. KIDO Talk Radio time is 6:42. Some of the programs we haven't talked about in the past lately is the move to impeach the president. Nancy Pelosi, she's upset, she's angry. We had somebody over the weekend on one of the MSNBC shows, Lawrence Tribe. You remember him, former president of Harvard University, one of the independent counsel prosecutors in the past. This is what he had to say.
The president, it seems to me, is committing impeachable offenses before our very eyes every day. When he threatens the national security by giving the power to declassify to his fixer, as you rightly called, Bill Barr, it seems to me that he is weaponizing his power to declassify as a way of going.
Now let's just cut the tape right there. Let's talk about weaponization. You know, what they're scared of, and they should be, the deep, deadly, devious deep state should be outwardly concerned about, is the coup that didn't happen with Strzok, with Page, with Comey, with Andrew McCabe, Andy McCabe, and others that failed. The election of Hillary Clinton that didn't happen, the anointment of Hillary Clinton that didn't happen, the establishment, the appointing of Hillary Clinton that didn't happen. We never would have known about this. And I hope that William Barr not only investigates McCabe and everyone else, we need to have a thorough and a complete vetting of the Obama administration. How many people like Glenn Beck, like Sean Hannity, were audited? How many people like our friend with the Wetumpka Tea Party? How many people that passionately believed in the defense of Prop 8 in California were vilified, were run out of business for exercising their First Amendment rights because the Obama administration decided to tip the scales? Let's talk about the weaponization of the NSA. Why does the media, and this is why people hate the media. Now, the local media here, they're okay, I suppose, but they hate the media because they take a side. You had a reporter, James Rosen, now works for Sinclair Broadcasting. We've had him on this program from Fox News Radio. Brilliant guy, wrote books, all these sorts of things. He was targeted because he broke the case that Obama was colluding with the North Koreans to look the other way while they continued to develop their weapons of mass destruction. Right? That's really what was going on and has been going on. How about all the lives of people that were ruined? Never mind Hillary Clinton, BleachBit, hammers to destroy her computers and the DNC. You know, Fox, we love Fox, but here they hired Donna Brazile, who talks about Russian collusion? Donna, you gave Hillary Clinton the answers to the debate questions, right? That's why the press has an issue. Yes, we have talk radio. But if they had their way, they'd get rid of Kevin Miller, Sean Hannity, and others. Because it's the voice of the opposition. And then for Lawrence Tribe to get on and talk about impeachable offenses, we could go back to Obama very, very easily. The truth is that Obama had Eric Holder and Loretta Lynch, truly not objective attorney generals.
After his political enemies, he is perverting the presidency. And it seems to me that we ought to admit that that's what's going on and figure out whether it's technically impeachable, as I think it probably almost certainly is, and what all the facts are so that the nation can be informed. You know, the Supreme Court has often held.
You know, here's the thing, and we played this a couple weeks ago, Dirty Harry. Go ahead, make his day. If you want the American people to judge, if truly, by the way, how's that Democratic Congress working out for you? Yes, we weren't happy with Paul Ryan, who slow-walked everything up to the House of Representatives. We weren't happy with John Boehner, but can anybody say at 580-5436, 580-KIDO that the Democratic House is an improvement? That Nancy Pelosi is an improvement over Paul Ryan? And that brings me to a story. Thank you to the guy described him as a dirty little lib. He was a devious little lib. We don't call them dirty. Devious little lib says, I disagree with everything Kevin Miller you talk about, but I have to give, and we thank him. Also want to thank Liberal Steve, who returned from his sabbatical. Got shot in the knee by a mercenary, according to him, walking around with a knee brace. He came back to contribute. So if the president, I'm still trying to figure out what the impeachable offenses are that he's doing within his constitutional authority to declassify documents to find out whether or not he was targeted, which we all know that he was. Don't the American people have a right to do that? Lawrence Tribe saying, well, it's an impeachable offense. Really, Mr. Tribe? What about Obama?
That among the most important purposes of congressional investigations is not only lawmaking, but holding the executive branch accountable and informing the American public.
You know, it's funny. We always give pro-life a hard time. And if you've ever heard this show, you know pro-life. He's always calling the Republicans wimps and saying that we should impeach and everything else. Impeach, impeach, impeach. You could have impeached Obama. Obama could have been impeached for what he did. And yet nobody could pull the trigger. Nobody had enough guts because there was no political will to do it, just like now with the president. And many times you have, as a parent, as a grandparent, as a boss, as a kid, whatever. What are we always taught? To do the right thing. Sometimes at great personal cost. We do the right thing. Isn't that what we're taught to do? The cost doesn't matter. It's doing the right thing. So if the Democrats, if the devious little libs truly believe that it's time to impeach Donald John Trump, then why don't they do it? Quit vacillating, quit going back and forth, and bring it on. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. I believe they'd be in for a very, very big surprise. Coming up next, tornadoes and gaming. Your thoughts? Tell you about the stories next, your reaction next. Kevin Miller on your home for Hannity, KIDO Talk Radio. And Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Whether you call it global warming, climate cooling, whatever, now all of a sudden we've got tornadoes in Mountain Home, tornadoes in Southwest Boise, crazy times. Pretty soon we'll be buying tornado shelters. Hopefully these are anomalies and not the new norm. And this just in, the World Health Organization has declared gaming a disorder. Gaming burnout a disease. And they've removed transgenderism. More on that in a minute. Joining us now, a young man, hobbling, but passionate about his liberal progressive beliefs. Liberal Steve on KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning, America. What a great country. Did I see you this weekend? Was President Trump handing you a trophy in Japan?
That was me, yes. From the Napa Walmart to Tokyo, Japan.
It was sumo wrestling. Hey, and then I get back to America, If people left America, if they knew how powerful we were and how great we were. I get back here and I find out the state of Idaho finds out that this truckload of hemp, or that was supposedly cannabis, was hemp. They sold the truck. They still got, maybe I'm wrong, they still got the guy in jail. When are we going to grow up? I mean, come on. 56,000 products in the United States uses hemp. We imported hemp since the 1930s when it was outlawed along with the cannabis. And now that it's been legalized, states are really producing it left and right. And you can go 2 blocks from KIDO Studios, 5 blocks, stop at any store and buy 10 products that have hemp in it. Hemp crushed seeds, hemp powder. It's used in so many items, and yet we sit here on our hands and don't start producing it. And every farmer here in Idaho is pulling their hair out. Are we absolutely stupid?
All I can say is they broke the law. They've got to pay. Now you've got 2 state legislators, 13,000 people signing a petition urging the truck drivers not to be prosecuted. I believe you break the law, you got to do your time there, buddy.
Well, buddy, I'll tell you this right now. They will not be prosecuted. Idaho is a little dumb, but they're not absolutely stupid because they will get their butt sued until they'll have to sell the HP building just to make a dime.
Why will they get sued for enforcing state law?
Because you'll have your Colorado East Coast lawyers that I'm sending up to take on this whole thing if it keeps going the way it's going and make a laughing stock of Idaho. That's why. Because your senators, not mine, because they're Republicans, voted for hemp to be allowed to be planted in the ground of America. Now, they left it up to states when the bill went through, but every state governor said, yeah, let's do it. That's money. Oh, God, is that a lot of money? And they said, yeah, let's do it. But our state left it up to the state, said no. So when they're sitting in court and they're losing money left and right because the federal government passed it as okay, and we didn't change our laws, our archaic laws, like you can't dance with your hat on, it's going to be crazy. So I'm telling you right now, Miller, this is not going to court, period. And the other thing they'll bring up is why it took so long to get that process on whether it was hemp or cannabis. Should have took 24 hours. Yeah, we had to send it down to the labs, blah, 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 blah. And that'll be proven the lies. You talk about political games and stuff going on in the Obama administration and what they're doing to Trump.
Unfortunately, it's time for traffic. Otherwise, you could continue on.
You have a great day.
Thank you. For all you who have missed Liberal Steve, he's back. KIDO Talk Radio, traffic and weather together. Good morning, Dave.